Hi, I'm Rosie from Total Film, and I'm here with the team today discussing the Oscar nominations for 2015, which have just been announced. So we're going to kick off to begin talking about the Best Animated Feature.
So we've got for Best Animated Feature, we've got Big Hero 6, The Box Trolls, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Song of the Sea, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya. But no Lego Movie, which is probably the biggest snub I think we've seen this year. I'm stunned, quite frankly.
So, Richard Jordan, do you have a favourite of any of these? Any you think are the front runner?
Well, I'm kind of in agreement. I'm pretty stunned that the Lego Movie isn't in there. I mean, there were rumours when it was getting read out that the Lego Movie might actually get nominated for Best Picture, and it didn't even get that. So, I guess out of the ones that are left, I would say Big Hero 6 would be my call, just because of Baymax, basically. I think he's a great character, and I think he sort of deserves it from the people who are left.
And Matt Mason, you're a Baymax man yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I love Big Hero 6, but I reckon in this category it's going to be How to Train Your Dragon 2, just because it's kind of the most emotional film on there, and I think that'll appeal to Academy voters, whereas the rest are a bit obscure, really. So yeah, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is my vote from that list.
Okay, so moving on to Best Supporting Actor. The lineup is it's Robert Duvall for The Judge, Ethan Hawke for Boyhood, Edward Norton for Birdman, Mark Ruffalo for Foxcatcher, and J.K. Simmons for Whiplash. So, Matt Mason, anyone you particularly want to see win this one?
Definitely J.K. Simmons. It's a pretty strong group overall, and I love Boyhood, I love Ethan Hawke, but I think for this particular one, it's just got to be J.K. Simmons. It's just such a kind of intense performance. He's been in the industry so long, and it's kind of about time he gets some recognition, really. Yeah, so I think he's got to be the favourite, really, for me.
Any controversies there for you, Matt Leyland?
I'm slightly surprised to see Robert Duvall in there for The Judge. Not that he's not a great actor, but The Judge, not particularly great film. He's been far better in other films. That seems like a bit of a sentimental vote to me.
I think I tend to agree with you on that one. Any thoughts from you, Rich?
Well, for me, I think my vote would go for Edward Norton. I think it's the best role he's had in years and years and years. He's so good in Birdman as a kind of really obnoxious kind of theatre actor. And I'd like to see him get some love. Okay.
Well, so let's move on to the Best Supporting Actress. Matthew Leyland, do you want to talk us through the sort of runners and riders for that?
Okay, so for Best Supporting Actress, we've got Patricia Arquette for Boyhood, Laura Dern for Wild, Keira Knightley for The Imitation Game, Emma Stone for Birdman, and Meryl Streep for Into the Woods. I think this is basically a two-horse race, I think, between Patricia Arquette and Laura Dern, and I think Arquette will edge that on the night. But I would be very happy to see Laura Dern win as well, because I think she's overdue some recognition, and she's fantastic in Wild.
Now it's Meryl Streep's 19th nomination, I understand, which is just
19
freaking ridiculous. Just like change the record. But yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's got to be Patricia Arquette. I just thought it was such a moving performance in Boyhood. And Matt Mason, well, we know that you're completely obsessed with Boyhood.
True.
So I'm assuming that's what you want to win.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it is a pretty strong category overall. Like, quite chuffed to see Emma Stone nominated for Birdman, because she was really good in that as well. Although I don't think she'll win.
Okay, so let's chat about the Best Actress then. Rich, do you want to talk us through the noms for that one?
Yeah. Okay, so we've got Marion Cotillard for 2 Days, One Night, Felicity Jones for The Theory of Everything, Julianne Moore for Still Alice, Rosamund Pike for Gone Girl, and Reese Witherspoon for Wild.
Okay, and who do you fancy for that? Who do you think should pick that one up?
I think it's got to be Julianne Moore. I think she's been nominated this fourth nomination now. She's kind of due it, I think, and her performance in that is really kind of intense.
She won the Globe, of course, for that, didn't she?
Yeah. So I think she's got to be the front runner for that.
Nice to see a couple of Brits in this list. So Matt Mason, what are your thoughts about Rosamund Pike and Felicity Jones taking on the big Hollywood actresses?
I'm pleased to see them both in there, but I don't think they'll win. Felicity Jones, it's a very nice performance, and it's kind of a great bit of recognition for her, but I think this will just be kind of like a nomination to sort of add to her credits. And Rosamund Pike as well, I really, really like the performance and stuff, and I really enjoyed the film, but because the film just hasn't really been recognised anywhere else, I don't really see it taking anything home. So yeah, I think kind of well done nominations. I don't think we'll see them win.
And Matt Leyland, you were a big fan of 2 Days, One Night, weren't you?
I certainly was, yeah. Yeah, it's great to see Marion Cotillard, who she won previously. But yeah,
and VM Rose, wasn't it?
yeah. So so it's great to see her nominated in that category again, once again, fully deserved for a film that you might assume the Academy might have overlooked otherwise, and perhaps not too many members have seen. So it's good to see that it did pop up on their radar because it's quite a difficult film, and she is fantastic in it.
And any notable omissions from Best Actress? There's no one actually that is particularly jumping out at me at this point.
Amy Adams for Big Eyes.
Oh yeah, but you love
She
Amy
won-
Adams, don't you?
Well, yeah. Objectively, however, she did win the Golden Globe for Big Eyes.
Yeah,
This,
yeah.
I mean, she wouldn't have a chance of winning, I don't think, against Julianne Moore anyway. It would have been her 6th nomination and her 6th disappointment, so perhaps it's just as well that
Yeah.
she can just enjoy the show this year.
I mean, it's pretty much Julianne's
Yeah.
award.
Oh,
isn't it,
yeah.
this
Totally, yeah. I'd say of any category, that's the biggest shoe-in.
So, talk us through the Best Actors category, because this one seems like that's going to be a pretty tough fight.
Yep. So we've got, for Best Actor, we've got Steve Carell for Foxcatcher, Bradley Cooper for American Sniper, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Imitation Game, Michael Keaton for Birdman, and Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything. So, this is quite a open to discussion category. I don't think this is sewn up by any means, although I'd say it's between Michael Keaton and Eddie Redmayne, who both won Golden Globes. I'd probably go with Keaton because he's a long-standing Hollywood player. He's had a big comeback with this film. So I think that would be his to win, but maybe Eddie Redmayne could cause an upset on the night.
Any thoughts from there, Richard Jordan?
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree. I think Keaton is kind of the front runner for this. It is interesting, though. I think the point you've made before in that Birdman is quite a kind of satirical, kind of caustic look at kind of the whole Hollywood system and critics and actors and everything. So it could be that Eddie Redmayne swings it just by virtue of his such a transformative performance and quite a kind of, sort of, unique sort of character building performance. I think, the other guys, I think it's interesting that Steve Carell has been nominated because that film has got 3 lead actors, really. So it's really interesting that he was chosen over Mark Ruffalo and Channing Tatum, who I would argue Channing Tatum is the main actor in that. So it's really interesting that he, again, hasn't been nominated. But again, with Steve Carell, it's something that Oscar really likes. It's a transformative performance. He's got
fake nose.
Yeah, prosthetics.
Yeah.
And
They
love
he
a fake
completely
nose.
Funny
transforms
nose.
himself. He's gone from, Steve Carell, who we all know and love, being funny, to being this really, really sinister character. So, so that's interesting.
It's sort of interesting to note that other than Michael Keaton and Birdman, all of the others are real people. They're all based on real stories, and
And Michael Keaton's basically playing Michael Keaton.
he's basically playing himself, isn't he? So he does a very good job of playing Michael Keaton. But is it possible that maybe he won't get picked because of all of those, it's the least, I don't know, worthy? I mean, and it is, as you said, really scathing about Hollywood.
But it's kind of, I think a lot of actors will vote for him though as well, because I think he's quite sympathetic to actors' careers and how they see themselves and what they kind of how they deal with fame, and when fame starts to wane. So I think that will get a lot of actors on his side. So I think they'll vote for him.
Okay, so a couple of notable missions: Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler and David Oyelowo for Selma. Both missed out, and both arguably deserved it. Interesting, again, transformative performances. Anyone else that you would have liked to see on this list?
It would have been nice to have seen Channing Tatum, I think, pick up a nod for Best Actor, just because he's so well known for kind of comedies and action roles, and in Foxcatcher he does give a fairly transformative performance. It's really intense, I think, and he holds his own against Steve Carell and Mark Ruffalo. So it would have been nice to maybe have seen him pick up a nod.
Cool. Okay, so moving on to the final 2 categories, the big 2. First of all, Best Director. So, Matt, do you want to talk us through the Best Director nominations?
Yep, so in the directing category, we've got Wes Anderson for The Grand Budapest Hotel, Alejandro González Iñárritu for Birdman, Richard Linklater for Boyhood, Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher, and Morton Tilden for The Imitation Game. So, again, a pretty strong category. And it's sort of interesting to note that Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher is the only one who hasn't seen his film get a Best Picture nomination as well. So
That's a strange thing. That's a very unusual thing to be like, it's really well directed. All the people in it are good enough to win an Oscar, but it's not that great a movie. I mean, strange.
It's almost like the reverse of Selma in a way as well, because Selma's got a Best Picture nomination, but nothing else apart from, I think, original song. And so it's weird to think that, Foxcatcher apparently has all these sort of strong acting and directing elements, but doesn't quite qualify for Best Picture, so that's a strange snub.
Do you think that will rule it out from winning the Best Director then in that case?
Possibly, yeah. I think, again, this is between Richard Linklater and Alejandro González Iñárritu, because both kind of extremely experimental films, but really enjoyable films as well, like not alienating and just very experimental in really different ways. So,
I mean, so lest we forget, Boyhood obviously was shot over 12 years, and this is incredible kind of piece of artistry that actually you saw people grow up and, you know, a boy turning into a young man. And of course, Birdman looks like it's filmed in one take. I mean, you were a massive fan of Birdman, weren't you, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, I loved the way Birdman was filmed. It was shot for me. It was set in a theatre, and it felt like it was filmed. You know, it felt like a filmed stage play. The closest thing you get to it. The transitions between scenes were kind of shot in the way as to make you think it was all one take. I loved the way that they had the drum soundtrack and that they would walk past the drummers as, you know, doing the live soundtrack and stuff. It was just such a technical achievement, I think, that this category should kind of recognise the technical achievement in the way that they did with Gravity last year. It didn't win Best Picture, but won Best Director, and rightly so. It was a director's movie. It was a huge technical achievement. Interesting what you were saying about Bennett Miller, in that it's kind of the opposite of Argo last year.
Oh yeah,
in that Ben Affleck
2
didn't
years
get a
ago,
director nomination, but won Best
Won
Picture.
Best Picture,
So it's not necessarily kind of, you know, a given nowadays that both go hand in hand. You know.
And a quick mention for Wes Anderson, because again, this was also a very a director's movie, I suppose.
Yeah.
It feels so Wes Anderson. I mean, do you think he's got a shot, Matthew?
No, to be honest, it's his first nomination though for director. So I mean, that's a big deal. He's had previous nominations for screenwriting and for animated film with Fantastic Mr. Fox. So the fact that he's made it to the director's category, you know, especially as someone who has such a distinctive directorial signature. I mean, you know a Wes Anderson film as soon as you see it. So the fact that he's got that for the first time, I think that's quite a big deal.
So really, it is between Boyhood and Birdman.
Yeah,
Matthew,
I'd say so.
if you had to call it,
Yeah.
who'd you give it to?
Linklater.
Rich?
I'd probably go Linklater as well, actually, but I'd love Birdman.
Matt?
And of course, I'm going to go Linklater as well, because I love Boyhood and Richard Linklater.
Okay. And
Who would you go for?
I'm going to have to go for Linklater as well. Okay. Well then, so moving then quickly on to the final category, Best Picture. So a couple of things to note. There are only 8 nominations this year, from a possible maximum of 10. So what we've got is American Sniper, which has picked up more nominations overall than I had expected, personally. Birdman, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. So, Richard, any initial thoughts on that lineup?
It's a very strong category. Again, I think it's between Boyhood and Birdman. Again, I love them both. I would love Birdman to win because I just thought it was just, as I've said before, an incredible achievement. But then so's Boyhood, like you said, filmed over 12 years, and you know Linklater's never won. But it's between those two for me, I think.
Omissions, Matt Mason.
Well, the Lego Movie again. We kind of thought when we saw it didn't get nominated in the animated category, we were thinking, okay, that's cool. They're saving it for Best Picture, and so that was kind of a bit of, you know, that would have been nice, but no Lego Movie. I'm trying to think what else.
Foxcatcher.
Foxcatcher, is a notable one.
It's got lots of love elsewhere, but not to have a Best Picture, and to get a Best Director but not a picture nomination seems very odd.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of people wanted Nightcrawler as well. Again, I think there's a lot of love for that film. It's very, exciting film.
Similar to sort of in the same vein as Nightcrawler, I think, is Under the Skin. That's one that I'm surprised has got absolutely zero recognition. So it was like an amazing performance from Scarlett Johansson, and just an incredibly sort of distinctive film, and so it's kind of a shame to see nothing for that. Yeah,
and that's another really directorial led, you know, the way that was shot, obviously, you know, in Glasgow and all this kind of verite kind of footage. So that, it's a shame that's not in there actually.
The Academy doesn't really like sci-fi though, does it? And especially something that kind of cerebral and avant-garde.
So Jason Blum, horror producer, now nominated for an Oscar, get in, can I say? I'm sad he wasn't nominated for Oculus or Insidious 2, but
where's Oculus?
Yeah. But I'm very happy that Whiplash has made this list. Whiplash has been one of my favourite films of the year. It's sort of an indie. It's only the second feature from Damien Chazelle. Of course, he doesn't have a Best Director's nod, which I suppose I can understand. He's so new, but it's fantastic. I think that Whiplash has made this list.
I think it's fair to say that that's probably the film that we're all kind of most chuffed to see in there, because we absolutely love it and been sort of banging on about it for ages. But it's excuse the pun. But I feel like that feels like this year's sort of small indie that gets the nice recognition, but won't really get anything else apart from, I reckon it's a shoe-in for supporting actor. But it's just nice to see it in there, really, I think.
So thanks for watching. That was our roundup of the Oscar nominations 2015, and we'll be back again with the results when they're announced.